You're listening to the Long Game Podcast. I'm your host, Sandra Scaiano, and I've talked about knowing your why for your business and how that why has guided so many of us to create a life and business on our own terms. We can have these big whys that drive us to get started and to keep going. And these are usually some larger rebellious-fueled reasons, to get started and to keep going. But how we operate, communicate, and create in our businesses can be continuous micro acts of rebellion. How we do our day to day and the culture we create in our businesses are ways we can align with our values and stand up for what we believe in. There is so much in the world that we have no control over. Women are still battling for control over our own bodies right now. If it's one thing I've learned from my years of therapy, is that you can truly only control what you do and your own responses. You are completely in command of your little corner of the world where your business resides. Today, we are talking about your business as an act of rebellion. You're listening to the Long Game Podcast with Sandra Scaiano. In a world where everyone is doing, it's easy to get lost in a sea of comparison, secret tricks, and promises of overnight success. The long game is my approach to business. The actual day in and day out philosophy that you have to show up, you have to do the work, and there's no quick fixes for long-term success. I'm a web designer, digital strategist, and energetic thinker, and I'm here to share the process and lessons I experience with my clients daily who are going through the same struggles of building a business as you are. We'll hear from successful entrepreneurs sharing their long game strategies, and I'm fun, so we're going to have a little fun along the way too. Thanks for being here. Let's get to today's episode. Money claims in marketing, pressure to purchase tactics, how you treat your team. These are just a few items that I see used, debated about, and ranted on in entrepreneurial circles. It falls under the completely subjective term of ethical marketing. Who decides what's ethical? You do for your business, not anyone else. We all had this big why when we started our businesses. It could have been to have more time, freedom, or ability to be with your family more, or even just to break away from the corporate establishment. The act of going out on your own, relying on your own expertise and decision-making, showing up day after day is a huge act of rebellion. So the huge act of rebellion, it got us going, and the micro acts keep showing up along the way. The choices you make in your business are acts of rebellion. It's how you show up for your values, and each business owner creates the lines, the boundaries for themselves. And that's what I love about having our own businesses. Your business is a creative process that you get to mold. You get to decide each day. You can try something on one day, feel it, and realize, that's not for me, right? It's not how you want to serve. It's not how you want to show up. And you don't have to do it just because everyone else is. That is rebellion. So I'm on this rant because we are paving the way for ourselves. There is no regulatory unit here, minus the law. There's no regulatory unit at this point. But there's a lot out there that might not feel good, that might only be in the interest of money and not people. We are paving the way for younger women who are starting businesses now and for all the children to come and mold themselves thereafter. Even if you go to school for business, the digital landscape changes very quickly, and each industry has its nuances. There's never a wrong way to do it, just a what feels good to you way. There are coaches and the marketing gurus out there who are blasting what works all over social media. They got to 7 or 8 figures by doing X and selling this way. Ultimately, whatever we are exposed to in terms of ideas, we need to be able to process what works for us and what doesn't. Take it in and process it. A wise family member once put religion to me in the same way. He said that if we are all sitting down to eat the same meal, your body will take the nutrients it needs and expel the rest. My body will take what it needs and expel the rest. And it was an explanation that made me realize a lot about religion, and one that applies to business as well. Apply what you want from the 7-figure businesses and their expertise and expel the rest. All right, so let's talk about some micro acts of rebellion in business. First one is scarcity related. I had someone teaching me the use of the fast action timer. And this is a special timer used at the end of a webinar to produce FOMO. If you buy within the timer's time frame, you get an extra bonus. And it's a special way to motivate people to buy right now. And, there really isn't anything inherently wrong with using the timer or this approach. It's basically just a little sugar on top to help people make their decision now, and then they get the extra bonus. Like it's a little boost, right? I'm rewarding them for taking action. But I'm on sales calls every week with new prospective clients. And, never once have I said, okay, make the decision for this package right now. Right now, that's just not my personal style. And, I really let people come to their decisions after our call, and many times after talking with a number of other service providers if they so choose. And I actually really love when they do that, because I'm so solid in what my offer and my services are. So, just this week, I had a call with someone who was circling back to me after 2 years from our initial chat. And, their business had settled in and they know what they need. And they actually said, one of my favorite Maya Angelou quotes, people don't forget how you made them feel. I made them feel secure and cared for and confident in what my abilities are, that 2 years later, now they're ready, right? That's some long game-ish right there. So for me, the pressure to act fast, it doesn't sit well with my brand. It's, not something that I want to do. And listen, there's a number of ways to interpret the scarcity too. Like, I'm not saying don't tell people your cart is closing. Like, of course it is. Tell people and use that to motivate them to buy. But this fast action timer is a different type of motivation. And I chose to bypass that action, a small act of rebellion on how I want to obtain customers. Because to me, it's about relationships. And I don't need to pressure anyone into working with me. Pressure tactics, even in a friendly way, it's a form of scarcity. So you choose what level is right for you. All right. One of the biggest things, we're on to number 2, that I see out there that you can decide how you want to approach for your business is marketing that leads with money claims. There are so many courses that promise money and success. And recently I saw a Facebook ad that said, spend the day with me, make millions. It's that easy. And I get it. We are valuable with our knowledge, but millions is not that easy. Who is being brought in with this language and, the dreams of success? Like, that is really of concern to me. I watched another guru's launch recently that is filled with stories of the top 1%ers. And, there's always a backstory to the success. And I temper this in my own business, and I've let prospective clients go because they harped on the numbers too much. As a service provider, people who want to work with you ask about my client successes, but each success comes from their own business setup. I'm not in the business of guaranteeing any monetary money amount, because that's so subjective. Like, I don't know how you're going to execute, right? So using money claims is all in the context that you give. Some have created runways of a following, and they've sought out opportunities to get themselves highlighted and created partnerships that benefited their business, because there is no magic pill. It's all what each individual business comes with. The pervasive language chosen to sell programs on sales pages, or the handpicked testimonials of only the most successful students, it doesn't tell the whole story. And, not using drastic money claims in your business is an act of rebellion. It's an act of letting the buyer make a decision based on the merits of your offer versus the dream ideal they wish their business to be. We get to choose what type of culture we create, and are we in it for the most students to our course or the right students? We see the prolific creators, they make money claims up and down. And I've been in some of those programs, and the support isn't there for the newbie or the general person to hit that same monetary mark. I think as an industry, in the online business industry, it's really stuck on these markers of 6-figure launch and 10K months or weeks or whatever it is, but it all goes back to what is your promise? What is your course promise or your service promise? Like, what will you deliver? Say that. All right. Next one in terms of rebellion that we're going to deal with is with your business, you get to create your own company culture. Have you ever taken pause and just thought about what that means and that this is a power you possess? Your company culture involves what you do, from how you execute your services to how you communicate on social media. It involves where your values show up in your business, from your day-to-day to the organizations your business supports. It includes how you treat your team and the environment you create for them. Part of your company culture is how you interact with your clients, right? Like, not only when things are going well, like, think about how do you handle when someone wants to leave or when you want to leave a relationship? Like, this concept is really like a thing in corporate culture. It's an example that I've lived personally, right? Everyone is family until it's time to leave. Then things change. But in your company culture, you get to decide how you handle this. Another piece of your company culture is how you do your marketing and the environment that you create there. What's your way of communicating for leads and sales? The coolest part in thinking about all of this in terms of these scenarios is that you are in control of the company culture that you build. The atmosphere you create can be seen as an act of rebellion. How you set up your business, how you practice your expertise, how you service your clients, how you produce is all under your control, and you make your own decisions about how and where and what you're going to bring forth. You get to decide if your culture is stressful or fun, right? And of course, business has to get done, but you create how you go about your work. And it is such a form of rebellion because no one can tell you what to do in your business unless you allow them to. All right. The fourth concept when it comes to business and as an act of rebellion is your business can be a place where you act out and present the new you, where you shine as someone who has overcome obstacles and challenges, where you share your story as well. I'm an overthinker. I've got the t-shirt and everything, but I have come to a place in my business where I'm able to let things roll off my back, where I used to not be able to, and I'm not talking, no response or apathy, I'm talking about I've come to a place where I don't take on everyone else's stress or emotion, right? And this is huge for me. It is the ultimate act of rebellion because it's dealing with issues with a way of resolve rather than out of fear. And in my past, work with a boss, that superior relationship always kind of loomed over things for me. I caused myself many years of anxiety and mental and physical anguish, over the need to please, and I really bore those things physically, if things didn't go right. So acting as the new you in your business is something that you can bring. You can leave your past anxieties and let the work that you have done on yourself shine through. You handle situations that arise with a vantage point that represents who you are today and who you want to be. You get to share your story of how you arrived at this place to help others, to be creative, and how you arrived to be an expert in your field. And you get to share all the parts, some of the parts or none of the parts of the story, and when you are showing up as who you want to be now, new connections to your own story are made. It's a chance to further work through items or to notice how cyclical the universe can be. Things keep showing up and you get to decide how to respond this time. So, with all of the ideas here, who are we rebelling against? Well, the online industry status quo, bro marketing, the establishment, I could go on really, but all of this is really a quirky way of reminding you of your agency, of your own power to reach your goals and your potential with all of your experiences and your various influences and social influences that surround you. We small business owners are making our way in a larger business ecosystem. You control your portion of this world. You have the power to create and build community that aligns with your personal vision. So get out there and keep doing, keep supporting, and keep communicating your message. All right, everyone. I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me today. You can access more info in the show notes at thelonggamepodcast.net. If today's show connected with you in some way, please share it with your friends or hop on iTunes and leave me a review. Until next time, keep playing the long game. This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.